Hi, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Faith, and today we're going to be reacting to a Candace Owens podcast titled This Story is Giving Me the Ick. If you're new to my YouTube channel, you're highly welcome. Please do subscribe, give this video a massive thumbs up, comment, share, and all that good stuff. And with all that being said, let's just dive right into this video.
All right, guys, happy Friday. Jumping right into this topic. Yesterday, and I'm sure that you heard about it, there was a school shooting out in Iowa. And I'm going to be honest, it seemed like nobody cared. Let's acknowledge that right now. It didn't seem as if it got the same treatment that we're used to when these school shootings take place or as they have taken place in the past. Why is that? Let's get to the center of that. Plus, later on, I don't know, you guys keep commenting, you want my take on Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She seems to be taking the media by storm after having orchestrated with her boyfriend to have her mother stabbed and killed. You know what I'm talking about? The Munchausen by proxy victim. Yeah, well, I'm going to give you my take, and it is probably going to be not what you expected. All that and more today coming up on Candace Owens. So yesterday, something terrible happened out in Iowa. Another school shooting, this time at a high school. The suspect, 17-year-old Dylan Butler. To be clear, of course, the first thing that they always do is wipe the socials because they want to make sure that we don't have a conversation that they do not deem relevant, because it probably is relevant, that it seems that the last 5 or so shootings that have happened at schools in America keep being executed by members of the LGBTQ community. And Dylan Butler's socials show that he displayed the rainbow flag. Not exactly relevant to the lack of a response that we saw, despite the fact that Butler allegedly shot 6 people, including a 6th grader who died. It seems that this story is already being disappeared from the media. I don't think it's by intention. I think that there is a lack of a response from people when it comes to these stories. And I felt that yesterday as well within myself. It's not because we're bad people. Of course, as parents, there's nothing more concerning than knowing that these things are starting to take place at the high school level, at the middle school level, even at the elementary school level, as we saw last year when the trans individual shot up an elementary Christian school here in Nashville. So what is it? Why are we starting to see this apathy start to seep into our minds? Well, I tweeted this yesterday. I am not interested in engaging in another discussion about a school shooter that does not begin and end with discussing Big Pharma and its clinical promotion of insanity. We are mass drugging children and conducting psychiatric experiments on them in classrooms across America. Now, what am I talking about? Well, first and foremost, I want to be clear that we don't know whether or not this particular individual was on drugs, so that I am alleging something. I am talking about just the larger picture that we know that so many children are being put on drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. And when I am referring to the clinical promotion of insanity, I'm of course talking about the agenda in schools to pretend that all of the signs that are there that a student is struggling psychiatrically, rather than addressing those psychiatric conditions, we are giving them platforms, right? We are telling children that it is okay to be confused. We are telling them that they can pick their gender. We are in some schools across Canada telling them that they can pick their species. Remember, we talked about this. You now have children that believe that they are cats or that they are dogs. And there are litter boxes that are being put outside of their classrooms. This allegedly is love. Anybody can be anything at any time of any day. We are pretending that sickness is health and that health is sickness. At the same time that we have people that are writing reviews of how dangerous it is for children to be homeschooled, lest they become radicals, lest they aspire to the nuclear family, lest they aspire to tradition. God forbid you want to seek a monogamous relationship. God forbid you want to be a mother that aspires to raising your children rather than climbing the corporate ladder. Well, shame on you. You're a part of a backward society. But if you are a woman and you want to be overtly sexual, if you want to have multiple partners, if you want to say that you self-identify as a pig in the trough, great, wonderful. We love that. More of that. Hollywood promotes it. There is a perversion happening in this society. We are rewarding bad behavior. I'll give you one example of something that really upset me last month while I was on maternity leave. I was reading about Southwest Airlines' new policy. Maybe the policy's been there for some time, I'm not sure, but at least we began discussing the fact that they have a plus size policy. Yes, Southwest Airlines is being praised because they have a customers of size policy that allows overweight flyers to purchase one seat and get another complimentary. Now, when we say overweight passengers, we're not talking about pregnant women. I want to be clear, right? They don't reward mothers. They don't say, oh, I see that you're 9 months, 8 months pregnant and you're flying, or I see that you have a child. Maybe you have a 2-year-old like I have, and as soon as they're 2, you got to pay for the extra seat. It would be really nice if Southwest Airlines said, you know what, mothers, rather than charging you the full price as they do for your 2-year-old to fly, despite the fact that he can fit on your lap, we're going to give you that free seat. No, no, no. They're going to instead reward people that are harming themselves, reward people that are binge eating, and people that now style themselves as fat influencers. Yeah, there is a self-described, there's many of them, fat solo traveler. She goes by the handle @KimmyStyled. And what she does on the internet is she shows fat people how they can take advantage of programs like the one that Southwest Airlines is offering for fat people. Here's a video that went viral on TikTok in October. Here's how you can beat the system, get a free seat. Take a listen.
Hi, it's okay. I'm hoping to use your customer of size policy today. Yes, I'm leaving. Yes.
Right, there we go, ma'am. There
Thank
we go.
you.
Place this in the seat next to you.
Okay, thank you so much for your help. May I have a seatbelt extender, please?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I want you guys in 2024 to tether yourself to the reality that America is a mentally disturbed society. And there is definitely something evil that is beneath it all. There is definitely an evil intention that is trying to make everybody swept up in different movements that are entirely made to harm you as an individual. It feels like all of America actually is under a psychiatric experiment. I don't know who's executing this experiment anymore. Why would you want to convince people that fat is health? Now, I know that tons of people that listen to this podcast are people that are like me, tons of people that maybe are overweight, right? And are thinking, I want my life to be better. At least you are acknowledging that it is not good to be obese, that it is not good when you gain 10 extra pounds, that you want to work towards being better. But you have a society that is telling you that that is wrong with the rise of these fat influencers. What is the reality? What is life actually like for an individual that is clinically obese? There was a woman named Brittany Sawyer. She had a TikTok. She often spoke about what her life was like as a clinically obese person. And here was the picture that she painted. Take a listen.
I ruined my life with food, binge eating, and lack of self-care. And I'm hoping that it's not too late for me this time. I ain't been to the store in 2 years, maybe more now, I guess. I went to the post office once and that was hard. I went to urgent care and I thought my legs were going to give out from under me.
Brittany is dead now, and she's not the only one. There is a long list of people that consider themselves to be flat influencers who are given millions of followers, probably actually given some sponsorships as well, who are killing themselves on the internet, promoting this lifestyle on the internet. We even know that we have seen this in Hollywood, Cosmopolitan magazine saying that fat is healthy, showing images of people that are clinically obese and trying to tell you that this is normal, that it is abnormal if you are recognizing it as something that we need to be focusing on, that we should actually want to make better in our society. We shouldn't want people to aspire to clinical obesity. So Brittany is dead. And like I said, many others like her. And you have to pause and you have to wonder who is benefiting from these societal lies. Who is benefiting from a toxicity in classroom settings of confusing children about their genders? promoting the lifestyles of transgenderism. As you know, we had a person who deems themselves to be transgendered on the show last year who talked about that promotion that was taking place everywhere. Well, the medical establishment obviously benefits from it. Big Pharma is trying to kill you. Again, tether yourself to that reality in 2024. Every time you go to a doctor and they recommend a prescription, tether yourself to the reality that since the dawn of the FDA, all they have ever actually accomplished is harming us. I'll take you through just some of the background. Oh, the FDA, they're looking out. No, they're not looking out for you. Remember DDT? Yep, that harmful insecticide that was actually paralyzing people in our society when they thought there was a polio epidemic. Yeah, that later got banned in 1972. There was a time when they said actual heroin was good. It was initially used as a cough suppressant in our society, and all of the medical literature indicated that it was going to be promising. Heroin's good for you. DDT is good for you. Big Pharma made millions upon millions, and then they said, no, actually, it's not good for you. The same for asbestos. That was once referred to as a miracle mineral. And then that too got banned in 1970. Who could forget the push when it comes to big tobacco? Big Tobacco paid $7.2 billion to the right people to promote their deadly products. That included physicians, doctors, medical journals, which all promoted cigarettes as healthy. Even to pregnant women, they were smoking cigarettes on ads. Yes, it's going to be great, mama. You look so chic. You do you, mama, as you're smoking. In 1963, the FDA stated that tobacco did not meet their hazardous criteria. It was not deemed a hazardous substance because they were making tons of money, of course, until they could no longer deny that people were dying because they were smoking, and then they backtracked. That's how it always works. They backtrack after the fact. They backtrack after they cause an opioid crisis, as they have now caused today. I don't know why some people are dying of the opioid crisis. We didn't know people were getting hooked on this drug. Of course they did. They always knew. Of course they know exactly what is happening when they are promoting fat acceptance. Of course they know what they are doing as they are promoting Wegovy and Ozempic. They know where this is going to end. Of course they knew what they were doing when they told you to roll up your sleeve and to get the COVID vaccine. The answer is always the same. They are earning themselves billions. And once those billions are earned and they have a little savings account on the side to deal with the lawsuits, the inevitable lawsuits, they don't care about these stupid lawsuits, these mass litigation. They don't care about any of that because they've earned their money. They've minted new billionaires. They're probably on pace to mint new trillionaires with the market that they are creating of people that are dependent on them because they are depressed. That's what happens when you are fat. Dependent on them because they have different forms of diabetes. Dependent on them because they are now having to take a bunch of psychological pills that we've not been proven to help. Of course, it hasn't been proven to help. Kids taking pills every single day because they're sad. Of course, they're sad. They're confused and they're lost and they're being lied to. So yes, I think like a bunch of people back home, are not interested in having a discussion about why people that are made to be crazy systematically, we are clinically promoting insanity everywhere in our society, right? When they actually then do insane things, we don't want to talk about guns. We don't want to talk about whether or not we need stricter pieces of legislation until we are also willing to have a discussion about what big pharma has become in our society and who exactly is benefiting from it. That's all I have to say about that. The holidays have come and gone and may have been more expensive than many of us were expecting. Don't worry though, Pure Talk has got your back. Instead of paying your current cell phone provider $60, $70, or $80 a line, Pure Talk has unlimited plans starting at just $20 a month. You'll get the same phenomenal coverage that you're used to on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. This is how the average family saves almost $1,000 a year. It's time to switch to a wireless company that shares your values, a company that is not afraid to invest in shows like mine, a company that is veteran-owned and serves veterans. So what are you waiting for? Switch to Pure Talk in as little as 10 minutes and start saving today. Their U.S. customer service team is waiting to serve you. Go to puretalk.com/Owens, and right now, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com/Owens to be connected now. Again, puretalk.com/Owens to start off the year, saving on wireless with a company that you can be proud of. Okay, now it's time for some topics du jour. Gypsy Rose Blanchard. If you're like me and you were not following this at all, then you realize how big this case and this story has become because you can't avoid it. It's everywhere. People are commenting, Candace, what's your take on this? I'm seeing her all over the internet. And finally, I have decided to look into exactly why this has become such a phenomenon. Everybody wants to talk about her. She's out of prison. So in case you actually have no idea who I'm talking about, I will back this up and I will tell you why this has become so mainstreamed. It's because it has gotten the Hollywood treatment. Hulu has premiered a true crime miniseries called The Act. It's starring Patricia Arquette, and it is dramatizing the very real story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who in 2016, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison for murdering her mother, Claudine, who went by Dee Dee Blanchard. Now, it's an incredible story. It actually is. Gypsy grew up as a sickly, wheelchair-bound child, if you spoke to any of the friends and neighbors who knew her, and her mother was her devoted caregiver. It actually turns out that Gypsy was perfectly healthy, and her mother suffered from a condition known as Munchausen by proxy syndrome. Fascinating condition psychologically to consider that there are people who, it's actually the ultimate victim mentality. They are so accustomed to that feedback that they're getting by pretending that their children are sick, that they force their children to pretend to be sick. And this is exactly what she suffered from. So she subjected her daughter, Gypsy, Dee Dee, subjected her to a bunch of unnecessary medical procedures, forced her to use a wheelchair, a feeding tube. She was denied any semblance of a normal life. She didn't attend school past the second grade, and she never left her house without her mother. I mean, tons of pills. You could only imagine this when you see the picture, and this is actually a real picture that we're showing you right here. This is a perfectly healthy girl that was made to believe from her mother that she had cancer. So what happens is Gypsy, as she gets older, meets a guy online. This is, again, a real story. And she starts to date this guy. She starts to be interested in this guy. She introduces her mother to this guy, hoping that maybe her mother will like him. Of course, her mother is an insane person, does not want anybody that threatens the relationship, this unique psychotic relationship that she has with her daughter. And she wants her daughter, Gypsy, to stop seeing him. Well, instead, Gypsy, by this time she is 23 years old, hatches up a plan, maybe not the best word for me to use, to kill her mother, right? She has suffered from years of psychological and physical abuse. You can only imagine what it is like being made to go through surgeries and procedures, to pretend at moments that you're paralyzed, that you have cancer. Obviously, she is not in her right mind, and her boyfriend come up with a plan to murder their mother. On the day of the murder in June of 2015, Gypsy Rose Blanchard had her boyfriend, Nick Godejohn, travel to Missouri. He checked into a motel and he awaited on a text message from her, from Gypsy. When he got the confirmation that Gypsy's mother was asleep, he crept into their house and Gypsy gave him a knife. She then went to hide in the bathroom with her hands over her ears while Godejohn stabbed her mother, Dee Dee, to death. She told 2020 that she honestly thought that he wasn't going to end up doing it. She heard her mother scream once, and then there was more screaming, but not like the kind in a horror film, just like a startled scream. And she asked, who was it in the bedroom? And then she called out Gypsy's name. Obviously, he then ends up stabbing her to death. But here's what is interesting thereafter. After Gypsy and Nick said that they had sex in Gypsy's bedroom, I guess, to celebrate the fact that they had just murdered her mother. So you can obviously see why this is quite a compelling case. It's compelling also because Gypsy has now been released from prison. Now that she is out, she is doing the rounds, giving interviews, talking about what it was like being in prison, talking about what that night was like, talking about the fact that she was addicted to painkillers. Take a listen.
Say that you were addicted to painkillers. Mm-hmm. How serious was this addiction?
You know, this is really hard to talk about because it took me down a really dark path. But I felt like it was my only way to cope for a time.
So when you made this decision to take part in the killing of your mom, were you high?
Yes, I was.
I want to be clear, it's not surprising that she was addicted to painkillers because it's likely that her mother had her taking tons of prescriptions. And as we discussed in the monologue, people get addicted very easily because of how easily we are handing out pills to individuals. But I think what is compelling to a lot of people is the level of celebrity that she achieved while she was in prison. She had tons of offers to do pornography now, to strip, to make real money in the world because people are interested in her. And of course, there's some perverse angle here that seems to be happening. Beyond that is the fact that while she was in prison, she apparently fell in love, and not with her boyfriend that killed her mother. No, she's done with her boyfriend. He's serving life in prison, and she has moved on in her life. And here's what she has to say about that.
Is it fair that he is incarcerated for life for killing your mom and you're out?
Well, I'm sure that we both have a lot of regrets. All I can really say is that I did my time. He's doing his time for his part. And I wish him well on his journey.
Yeah, that's quite the journey. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And obviously, like I said, it is compelling. And you should, of course, feel bad for her because she grew up in a horrific environment. There is no question that her mother did awful things to her. But what I find interesting is this sort of Oprah rebrand that seems to be happening, where the media is maybe perhaps a little too sympathetic to her and her story. This is them almost glamorizing her new relationship. It feels especially hopeful. Take a listen.
But you're really together physically for the first time.
Yes.
We call it newly together weds.
What are your plans? Do you want to have children?
We've talked about starting a family. We just don't know when at this point. Our lives are pretty hectic right now.
So this is your happily ever after, the gal who liked being a princess.
It is, yeah. I had to kiss a couple frogs to get to this one. Handsome face.
Oh, thank you, baby.
I don't know, guys. There's something about this that just gives me the ick. Maybe it's also the fact that she is posting on Instagram about how people are jealous of her husband, the person that you just saw, because of his D. She's talking about how good the D is with her husband. That doesn't exactly seem normal. So here is my take on the situation. What happened to Gypsy Rose Blanchard throughout her childhood is abhorrent. It's awful. Talking about Munchausen syndrome full stop is probably a wider conversation that we should be having because, as I said, it's the ultimate victim mentality, and we are seeing evidence of it everywhere. I think that there is an element of Munchausen by proxy when you go on the internet and people need to post every sad moment that they have, the struggle that they have with their kids, them crying, and, sitting in a car. There's something that is happening right now in our society that seems a bit creepy to me and is all within the same vein, obviously not to this extreme. But just because something bad happens to someone when they are a child does not mean that we should dismiss the obvious signs that there is now something wrong with them when they are an adult. And I think that Gypsy Rose Blanchard shows all of those signs, okay? She, at the age of 23 years old, devised a plan to kill her mother. They didn't have to do that. She already admitted that she was able to see her boyfriend, that she was able to sneak out of the house. Why didn't they just devise a plan to go to the police? I don't know that you can come back from something like that, from 2 decades of sustained psychological abuse. It is obviously going to remain to be seen if she can turn her life around. I certainly hope that she does. But I think that people right now are falling in love with the Hollywood narrative, wanting to believe that she's going to skip into the sunset, where to me, it seems like there is something dark there. So I am not a Gypsy Rose Blanchard stan, as everybody else seems to be. The Hulu treatment does not convince me that this is necessarily a good person. And I think that there is probably going to be some trouble with her down the line. I hope I'm wrong. I hope she turns around. I hope she finds God. I hope that she, finds and is able to share her story and transform the lives of children that could be living in sort of this dark climate as she grew up in. But something tells me that there's a little something off with this. And I don't think this is definitely not the end. I think this is actually the beginning of the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story. We will keep following it. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies are a great way to make sure that you're getting essential nutritional ingredients every single day. Balance of Nature uses an advanced cold vacuum process that encapsulates fruits and vegetables into whole food supplements without sacrificing their natural antioxidants. The capsules are completely void of additives, fillers, extracts, synthetics, pesticides, or any added sugar. The only thing that's in a Balance of Nature's fruit and veggie capsule are, well, fruits and veggies. Right now, not only will my listeners get 35% off your first order, you'll now get a free fiber and spice supplement as well. Balance of Nature's Fiber and Spice Supplement is a revolutionary fiber drink with a unique blend of 12 spices and whole foods. There's never been an easier way to make sure that you're getting your daily dose of fruits and vegetables. Experience Balance of Nature for yourself today. Go to balanceofnature.com and use promo code Candace for 35% off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free bottle of fiber and spice. That's balanceofnature.com, promo code Candace, for 35% off your first preferred order, plus a free bottle of fiber and spice. All right, guys, moving on, and in the same vein of talking about Big Pharma, I could not believe this. You know that last year I covered this Wegovy and this Ozempic trend. Obviously, it is not going to end well. It is going to be the same FDA picture where the FDA goes, oh, we didn't realize that it was killing people and that actually it was causing people's stomachs to collapse onto itself, which is what's actually happening with Ozempic and Wegovy. But people just want the quick fix and think that they can get skinny fast, and this is the way to do it. Well, you are not going to believe it. They have now, the FDA has cleared Ozempic and Wegovy for children. Yes, they are now saying that it is, if you are a clinically obese child, it may be good for you to start this treatment. I cannot believe this, that we are not just telling children to play outside as a form of a way that they can conquer obesity. One of the things that is listed, in case you are not aware, as a plausible side effect from taking Wegovy or taking Ozempic or any of these new hot trend treatments is gastroparesis. What is gastroparesis? Well, this woman decided to document what her life is like as a person that suffers from this condition. Take a listen.
I have a condition called gastroparesis, or also known as intestinal failure. It comes as a result of having another condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which affects all of the connective tissue in my body. In a nutshell, my digestive system is paralysed, so I can't eat food. If I eat, I basically throw it back up. I'm in excruciating pain, and sometimes it even causes a seizure.
Why not give it to children, right? Obviously, if they're obese, there can be nothing else that we can do other than provide them with free seats on Southwest Airlines and Ozempic shots, Wegovy shots for everybody. I don't see what the problem could be. If you have not yet woken up to what Big Pharma has become and the fact that they will kill you and they will kill your children, but they don't want to, actually. They want to turn you into lifelong clients, which is what this would be. Obviously, you would be in and out of doctors' offices for the rest of your life if you manage to paralyze your intestinal tract. That is the hope. That is the aim, to render all of us fat, lazy, and relying on the medical cartel for the rest of our lives. Wake up to that, people. It is 2024. You are going to have to take ownership over your own life, over your own bodies, and over your own minds. Because as I said, there is something sinister. There is very clearly some sort of an evil cabal that is operating and just making money off of all of us and all of our misery. And the only way you're going to conquer it is by sobering yourself to that reality, because there is a gold rush right now in terms of fat. They want the fat to be accepted, the fat acceptance movement. It is because they are making so much money, and it's awful. It makes me sick. It should make you sick, but hopefully just by talking about it, there's one way that we can defeat it. All right, guys, let's jump into some of your comments regarding episodes past. Yesterday, I broke the news that women are perverts. No, it's been crazy. We've been pretending that it's been men, but actually women are completely perverted now, walking around half naked all the time and pretending that there's a problem when somebody looks. Oh my God, I'm the victim. No, you're not. You are the oppressor in these circumstances. Becca writes, as a woman, I will never understand the logic of objectifying yourself to fight objectification. That's like emptying your bank account and setting all your money on fire to prevent being robbed. Yes, that is exactly what it's like. It makes entirely no sense. And it's because these women are not actually being objectified. Well, they are, but it's from themselves, as you said. They want people to look at them and they want to pretend that it's problematic. Honestly, I think personally you're starved for attention when I see something like what we saw yesterday, when I see what Emma Ratajkowski wore to God knows where, I think it's somebody that is tremendously insecure and is hoping that by putting their body out there, they'll convince people otherwise. Health-wise Exercise writes, during my vacation in Italy, I noticed how effortlessly stylish and classy the women were. Unlike what I was used to seeing back home, there was no flaunting of intimate body parts or excessive skin exposure. Instead, these women exuded a sense of refinement and grace that seemed to be deeply ingrained in their culture. It was truly refreshing to witness such a timeless and tasteful style that prioritized modesty and class. That is true all throughout Europe. Of course, you can find pockets of people that dress trashy, but it's one of the things that I have always loved about London, that there still is this propriety to their culture. That people wear shoes, that you don't see people dressing like slobs. And I always say to people, this begins in childhood. If you are a parent, teach your children to get up and to get dressed every single day. My son already wears sweaters and shoes, and he wears proper trousers because I want that to be a muscle memory. I don't want him to wake up, like the idea of him wearing sweatpants is not even ingrained. He doesn't even know what that means right now. And I don't want that to ever become an option. It starts in childhood. Lloyd writes, I loved women who left nothing to the imagination when I was a teenager. I'm now a 38-year-old man, and I'm tired of seeing them expose themselves like this. Don't these women have any self-respect? I just don't. I agree with you. I don't think it's interesting. I think that men should want to have an imagination. Like when you see a woman, you should be like, I wonder what she looks like naked. I'm curious about this woman. I want to pursue her. How can I get this woman to fall in love with me? When everything is on display and you already feel like you've got the goods and you didn't even make an effort, you just stepped out of a car like this, it's got to be uninspired. I just have to think that men are not inspired by it anymore. They want to work for it. Sean Miser writes, as a man myself, I agree. This is disgusting and sad. And at this point, with how much you see practically naked women all day, it does nothing. I mean, like it killed the mystery. Remember the old saying, leave something to the imagination? There is nothing for the imagination whatsoever. So true. Mina writes, Candace, let me just say that as a 23-year-old woman in university, not only are women acting and dressing this degenerate, we have student groups on campus encouraging this type of behavior and holding sessions for university students to express their sexuality, their true self. No wonder this generation is going down the drain. This is why it's so important to speak out against this, and I'm glad that you are fighting the good fight. Also, thanks for bringing me to conservatism, and I'm glad that you pulled me out of the woke madness. I love you so much for showing me true femininity. Let me tell you something, Mina. You are probably going to meet a good man, somebody that honors and respects you. I can't imagine that any of these women are being honored and respected by men. Of course, can they find men that will sleep with them? Sure. Are their bodies nice? Yes. Is Emma Ratajkowski have a nice body? Yes. But I do not think that she is a person that men are going to want to marry. And that makes me sad for her because she doesn't have to be that. When I see women that look glamorous, it's when they're covered up. You want women that are dressed up. That's aspirational to me. The women that I follow in terms of fashion, and I'm like, oh my God, she looks amazing. They're always covered up. And again, even for women, it loses something there. It's not aspirational to follow women that are just constantly showing you their boobs and their butts all the time. Lastly, we have a comment from Easter Sunday. He writes, the problem with this is that men can be punished severely for rejecting a woman's advances via false accusations. Yes, we do have a culture right now that I even think would punish men if they dressed like this. Like I said, if a man walked into the gym, as that woman did yesterday, and he just painted his nether regions, we would call the police and he would be arrested for sexual harassment, sexual assault, as he should be. I think the exact same treatment should be happening to women. We should be evening out the scale. We should not be allowed to be perverts in society and have that perversion go unchecked. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the week, the first week back. That is all the time that we have for today. But of course, we are just at the beginning of this year. There is going to be so much more. We'll see you on Monday for a brand new episode.
Honestly, guys, this story just hits the nail on the head. Like, it's really, really an aching story I really enjoyed every bit, every part of this video, and I'm sure you all did too. It was interesting, it was entertaining, it was educating, it's learning, and I'm sure you all enjoyed it. Tell me in the comment section what you think about this video, and if you're new to my YouTube channel, you're highly welcome. Please do subscribe, give this video a massive thumbs up, comment, share, and all that good stuff. And this is bringing us to the wrap of this episode. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye bye.